In today's video, we're going to go over a pretty common problem, and that is how to build your walking confidence on uneven terrain. So I recently did a video on just standing balance in general. And in that video, someone had asked in the comments, how do you get comfortable stepping onto a surface that might not be level? And so that was the inspiration behind this video. So in this video, you're going to learn why some people lose their confidence when they're on uneven terrain or really just uncontrolled environments in general where the terrain might be a little bit unpredictable. And of course, a progression of activities that you can do to move from where you're at today to being 100% confident walking in any environment in the future. If you're new to this channel, I'm Tara. I'm a neurologic physical therapist, and on this channel we talk about anything and everything related to mobility, health, fitness, and mindset in the context of neurologic injury, with the end goal of empowering you with as many tools as possible to take ownership of your rehab and your health to live an overall more active, more mobile, pain-free, happier, healthier life. Now, before we dive into the content of today's video, as a reminder, there will be a handout that goes along with this video with pictures and descriptions of all the exercises that we're going to go through today to make it a lot easier for you to incorporate these exercises into your home exercise routine. Those PDF handouts are available for our members. To learn more about our membership programs and to sign up, visit rehab-hq.com. So first, let's talk about why someone might lack confidence in the real world. Well, one is you just haven't practiced enough on some of the surfaces that you may encounter in the real world. What are those surfaces? Well, there's inclines, there's declines, and there's surfaces that might be either sloped to the right or sloped to the left. If you have a weak leg or an involved leg, when you step onto these surfaces, your body just might not have figured out a great way to adjust the rest of your body to maintain your center of mass over your base of support. So what do we need to do? We need to practice stepping onto these surfaces, and we'll get into that when we get into the exercises. But just to help you all kind of problem solve how to develop a treatment plan for yourself. That's why I always give these explanations, really to just help you learn the strategies that you can use to make decisions on how to develop your own treatment plan when you encounter barriers in the real world. So first and foremost, got to practice on varying degrees of sloped surfaces. Next is surfaces that are not firm. All right, so a soft surface, sand, grass potentially. Maybe for some of you, stepping onto a boat and feeling like that movement of the boat might throw you off balance. Under normal conditions, these are all situations where we have built-in mechanisms where our body quickly feels a surface moving under our feet and will adjust appropriately, again, to maintain our center of mass over our base of support, which is our feet. So we need to practice stepping onto surfaces that are either moving or soft so that our body can relearn strategies to respond appropriately to these situations. And again, exercises that we're going to go over later in this video. And then the last thing I can envision where some of you might get a little bit nervous is maybe there's a slight grade in the surface that you're stepping onto, or there's a little bit of a ledge, maybe a sidewalk that has cracks in it and it's uneven. So your body is anticipating when you set that foot down that it's going to land on a level surface, and there's a little bit more of a drop. Now, why is that scary for some of you? Because in that situation, your body's preparing for one scenario, meaning you think you're going to step onto a level surface, and when that doesn't happen, your body has to kind of switch gears and go into like a deceleration mode a little bit. And for a lot of you after a stroke, those reactions just either aren't as fast or they don't exist because you have other visual perceptual issues going on. So you feel afraid, but you're not really sure why. Like you don't feel like your foot, or you didn't recognize that your foot kind of just stepped down onto a lower surface. if you can remember to before you had any mobility issues, and this has happened to me recently, where you're walking down a step and maybe there's like one more step than you thought, and you're like, you land a little bit harder. Now, if you haven't had any injury to your neurologic system, yeah, it's a little bit jarring, but our body reacts, we decelerate, and then we just keep going on with our walk. No big deal. Now, throw on top of that you might have some sensory issues after a neurologic injury, or you might have some motor control issues, and the whole world changes, and now that becomes a very scary activity. So, all of those things need to be incorporated into a well-designed home exercise program so that you can go into the real world, leave your controlled environment, know that there's going to be some unpredictability in the surfaces, the types of surfaces in the environment you're going to get on, and not feel this panic when you envision yourself in those environments. So let's go ahead and dive into the exercises where we're going to try and incorporate as many of these conditions so that you can set these conditions up in your home and practice for the real world. Okay, so as I mentioned, the exercises, I'm going to try and do them easiest to hardest. Now, I will say the starting point for this should be someone where you can already walk independent in the community, either with or without an assistive device, and you haven't had any falls in the last year. Okay, this would kind of be where you would go next. If you have had falls in the last year, or you're not walking in the community, of course you want to start with just walking on level surfaces. This would kind of be that phase 2 of your walking confidence progression. The first one we're going to start with is stepping off of a little step onto a somewhat softer surface. Remember I talked about that? This is a real scenario that can happen if you're stepping onto grass. And so some of you, that's why you don't feel confident when you're on uneven surfaces, is because when your foot hits the ground, it's landing on a less stable surface. So we're just going to practice stepping forward. This is the involved leg. Practice stepping that involved leg that might not have great sensation onto a little bit of a softer surface. And just stepping down onto that surface. Again, it's also incorporating a little bit of that deceleration that I talked about earlier. Okay? And then my suggestion would be once you step down, you can hold that for a 3 count. What I see very, very often is that people quickly get this foot on the ground. You really want to build that confidence that you can land that foot onto any surface and you can maintain your balance. So a good goal would be to see if you can hold that for 3 seconds. All right, and then step the foot down or either step back up. All right, next, many of you have seen me use this wobble board in other videos. Again, another great activity. Remember I talked about those slopes or those inclines? That might be another reason why you're losing confidence when you're out in the real world, is a lot of times the surface that you're walking on is not completely level. So that's where this wobble board comes in. It's a great activity. Just wobble, going side to side. You're learning how to load that leg and maybe having a little bit of a slope or an angle to the surface that you're landing on, and just getting comfortable with that. And again, I would try and hold it for 3 seconds. That's how you know you really landed on this leg and you can maintain your balance. Back to the other side, land on that leg and maintain your balance. And back and forth. Trying to hold that for a 3 count. And then I would switch it. Remember, I also mentioned, there's inclines and declines. And this is pretty aggressive, this wobble board. So there's a good chance that if you can do this wobble board, you're going to be fine in most environments. This is a pretty steep incline. So it's rare in public places that you're going to encounter something like this. So if you can do it on this, you're pretty much guaranteed that you'll be able to step onto any surface. So we're just going to go forwards and backwards. And you want to switch your feet. So switch so that the opposite foot is forward. And then what that does is now you have to land backwards onto maybe an involved leg. All right, so do it in both directions, getting very comfortable. That land, again, you're having to do that deceleration, but your body is also having to adjust to the fact that your foot is now on a surface that is not level. Okay? So building that confidence that you could step an involved leg onto any surface you encounter. All right, now this thing I have on the ground, these are called stepping stones. Now these are a kind of a kid's developmental tool. So I think the weight limit on them is 150 pounds. So might exclude a lot of you, but I do love them because they're automatically like not a level surface. And then just step on that and then step off and hold it. So this would be your involved leg. Can you step onto a surface that is not level again and just get comfortable with that? So step your involved foot on and then step the other foot off. All right. Involved foot on, other foot off. And I'd probably do this on both legs. So switch, can you even put your stronger leg on there and then just feel comfortable having your stronger leg on something that's uneven and feel like you still have the control that you're going to be able to land on your involved leg. Super valuable. So I would do this on both legs. Step onto it and off. And again, any products that I'm using, there will be links for these in the description below. And off. All right, now this next activity, do this at your own risk and use your judgment. These are just examples of things that I do with patients that I see in person, but of course, I'm making sure I assess that someone has the ability to do some of these higher level activities. And of course, they have a gait belt on, and I am very, very close by in case they are able to lose their balance and they cannot recover on their own. But basically, this is just a fun thing to add a little bit of unpredictability to the activity. We're going to set some objects here on the ground. And then here's the unpredictability part. Set a mat kind of on top of it, and then just walk across the mat, right? You don't really know what's under it. You can see the mat kind of does its own thing. And again, use your judgment, use walls, but because those objects are covered, it means that your body kind of has to make adjustments in motion. I don't know where those objects are. I'm going to step down. I don't really know what that surface is going to do. If you can do this and feel confident and not lose your balance, you are setting yourself up for success, that you could really encounter any obstacle out in the community. And again, just walk across it. I don't know where those objects are, right? So it just requires a little bit more of that adjusting while you're in motion. So your body has to be getting feedback while you're in motion and making those adjustments. And that really is the most challenging thing, and the reason why a lot of people lose confidence when they're out in the community is that is a very kind of high level neuro skill to be able to get feedback while you're in motion and make adjustments in motion. Of course, we don't think about it because we learn this when we're really young, and so we don't give this a lot of thought. But once you've had damage to your neurologic system, these things become a little bit harder. So definitely things that you need to practice so that your brain can relearn these critical automatic reactions to uneven surfaces. Again, to ensure that when your footing is disrupted, that your brain will kick in to make sure that your center of mass stays over your base of support. That is our brain's number one job, to be able to do that quickly and efficiently so that we can just continue to walk without falling. But these are just a few examples. And again, it was based on a comment. So hopefully some of you guys found this helpful. Again, don't forget, there is a handout that goes along with this video. Handouts are available to our members. To learn more about our membership programs and to sign up, visit rehab-hq.com. I enjoyed spending time with you all today, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good day.